All right. So I already have the preferences open from what Lindsay was just displaying of hitting your back arrow to go into the backstage, going to settings, and then at the user settings, and then coming down to preferences down in here. So there, like Lindsay was saying, a bunch of different things in here. We'll get to a few different other ones too as we go. When I don't know how many people use position mapping. I use it quite extensively. This kind of came about in SS4. I also used to be pretty heavy Autodesk user. So if those of you that are a lot of typing commands, different things like that. So the position mapping I use extensively. I've just used it enough over the time. I know what all the numbers and letters mean. And then once you kind of get all of those together, you'll have an understanding of how everything works. But when you get your default settings for MicroStation and for ORD, this use position mapping is going to be unchecked. So I'm going to walk through that right now. So if I check this on and then I hit show position mapping aids, that's what I want to have in there. So when I come over here back to my design stage and I come up, you guys are going to see this little select V8i mode. That's still going to be around for a while, even though it's not V8i, but what it does is it kind of brings you back to SS4 a little bit. But what I have selected, you can see here, is I have selected dialogue. So you'll want to select dialogue first. Once you do that, mine is pinned over here. So what you'll see is if you have that position mapping turned on, you're going to start seeing some numbers in your main tasks, and then you're going to start seeing some letters in your drawing tasks. So if I come and hit escape a few times, you can see all these numbers and letters lit up. So if I want to go ahead and go do a copy, it doesn't matter where I'm at on the screen, if I hit 3, I know that that's my number for copy, and 1, then that's what I'm going to do. So it's the manipulate then copy. So if I want to rotate, and I can also just maneuver through this, and I can either select it, or if I want to go move parallel and I'm up here, I can hit 9, and you're going to see my command of move parallel actually comes up. So the numbers, letters, that's really one of the things that I use just for quick keys. If I'm somewhere, instead of going back and forth to the different commands, I can just come in here if I know what I'm trying to get to. So that's where position mapping comes into play. Again, I've kind of just memorized what all of these things are. Like if I want to measure, if I want to do a closed shape or a complex shape, complex chain, it starts to really become pretty handy. And then the other thing that goes along with this, not necessarily that you have to have the position mapping key turn on, because you don't, but if I hit my space bar, I have quick pop-ups too. So if I hit my space bar, I can go to my references, my models, I can go to level display, I can go to properties. Again, there's measure. It has a few different commands. This is customizable. I would say not to do the customizable, because a lot of times ORD does get pretty finicky. It will start to slow down sometimes. That means that your user preference is not really working very well anymore. So a lot of times you have to delete your user preference. So that's why I would try not to customize. I would try and stay away from customizing stuff as much as possible for a lot of those reasons. And I think before we hit explore settings, or actually I can hit explore settings in this, and then we'll go to questions on position mapping. So same thing, if I come in and go to the backstage, and then I come to settings, there's going to be an Explorer settings. So this is, and we'll go over this later too with Open Roads Explorer, and talk about what the different windows do, what there is and what there's not. So if I come into Explorer settings, there are options of yes and no, all these different things of displays, what I want to show, what I don't want to show. Again, careful on customizing a lot of things. I try not to custom too much. As you can see, I have sheet index locked out because that's something we'll go over in plant production. But everything that I have on, I turn everything on for the most part of what I use. And you can see there's drainage and utilities model. There's also survey, different things like that. I did stumble upon this the other day, which I've been using Open Roads for a while, and I'm sure this happens to everybody. You find something and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't even know that existed. There is a dialog properties in here, and it's called, it'll show up as group panel in your settings when you first go there. And what it looks like with group panel, if I hit OK and I come back here, it'll be group panel. So it's very similar to this, of just like group panel on here. So when you do that, you have file, items, all these different things we'll go through, but you can see it kind of goes down the list. And as it goes down the list, if I want to pick, and if I want to go to survey, okay, what are my field books? What do I got going on in there? Or I want to come to my Open Roads model, you can see what happens is it then closes and hides all of those. And I don't really have an option to kind of see, oh, okay, where's that at? This one I have a harder time with. Whereas if I am in my Explorer settings and I go to that and change my browse layout from group panel to tab. So again, just kind of stumbled upon this and actually find it much more beneficial. You can see how everything changed to a tab. For me, this is much easier to maneuver around and navigate and get to different things that I want to get to a little bit more quickly. So those are some kind of little options that are in the background too. Again, not changing a whole lot, remembering where those settings are. One of the things you can always do too is save your .upf file, your user preference file. Once you kind of get your settings where you have them, and I would make a copy of that, save that somewhere on your hard drive. So later on when you come back, you can then go ahead and put that back on there. So that I think kind of covers what we wanted to. Lindsay, am I missing anything?
No.
Okay. So with that, I think, Sahar, you can stop recording.